Hey all, I'm your host Michael and welcome back to Awful Stories. As always, if you enjoy, make sure to leave the video a like and consider subscribing if you're new. With that said, let's begin. The story was made in the AIO subreddit by a user named Fetid Moppet. The post is titled, "I stopped a drunk girl from being pulled into a car by two random men, but my boyfriend is upset and called it stupid and dangerous." Okay, so this happened last week and I'm realizing how much it's still bothering me. I'm looking for an unbiased sanity check because I think it has honestly changed the way I view my boyfriend a little and I'm sort of spiraling. I'm 24F, he's 30M. I work in an office in the middle of a city and it's common for a lot of people to go to bars after work. I was working late last week and hadn't had time to eat all day. It was dark and I was eating in my car before heading home when I saw two men walk a clearly drunk woman into the parking garage. Each guy was holding on to one of her arms to keep her upright. She looked like she could barely walk. I was immediately on edge because the guys looked completely sober and she looked like she was trying to pull away from them. The whole time I kept hearing them say things like, "You're fine, you know us, we're taking you home, don't worry, we're helping you." Her words were really slurred, but she kept repeating variations of, "No, I want to go back," and "Where are we going?" At one point her phone started ringing, but one of them grabbed it and put it in his pocket. The other one took out his keys and beeped a car a couple of spaces down from me, and honestly, in that moment I just panicked. I got out kind of suddenly, which I think startled them because they both stopped walking immediately and just stared at me. I looked right at her and said in an angry tone, "Random name, I've been looking for you all night. Where the hell are you going?" I feel like I was operating on pure adrenaline at that point. Before she had a chance to answer, I turned to them and said, "And who are you guys?" I tried to sound annoyed, not accusatory. One of them immediately dropped her arm and put his palms up. He said, "Oh, are you her friend? We were just trying to help her find you. She's wasted, but she said you guys parked here," or some nonsense like that. I just walked up to them and said, "Thanks, I've got her," and took her arm. She kept repeating, "No, I want to go back," and things like that, but I just kept pretending to be angry with her for disappearing and said I'd been calling her too. They stood there for a second, but then started walking away. Before they could leave, I asked them to give me her phone back. Looking back, I know this was stupid. The one who took it said, "We don't have it." At that point, I was just so furious, realizing what they had just tried to do. In my mind, I was like, hell no, I am not letting them steal her phone too. So I said, "I literally saw you put it in your pocket." They both stared at me, and then the guy who took it said, "Oh yeah, I forgot." He pulled it out and tossed it at me. It dropped on the floor and they kind of laughed and left. I was so shaken up afterward. I put her in my car and called the police. I had to wait about 45 minutes for them to show up. By that point, she was already fading fast. She seemed like more than just regularly drunk to me. Thankfully, while we were waiting for the police, her sister, who had been looking for her, called again and I was able to direct her to where we were. Needless to say, those men didn't know her. I left after the cops arrived and gave a statement. On the way home, I called my boyfriend and we talked for about 10 minutes before he had to get off. He was out of the country on a work trip at the time. He was clearly aggravated when I explained what happened. I could tell he was angry with me for stepping in, which absolutely shocked me. During his meeting, he texted me the above. I can understand his worry, and I know this all stems from him wanting me to be safe, but literally everything about this has rubbed me the wrong way. I can't believe that in a similar situation, he would have just let them take her away like that. I can't believe he blamed her for any part of it either. He kept saying what I did was stupid and dangerous and wanted me to promise I wouldn't do something like that again, where I may be overreacting. Last year, one of my best friends was assaulted after a house party under similar circumstances. She was drugged. Even before that happened, I would have stepped in for that girl, but that situation definitely amplified my response. I feel like at some point during our text, my boyfriend was blaming the girl for being drunk. It immediately made me angry because in a way, it felt like he was also blaming my friend for her assault. So maybe it's hard for me to be unbiased and I'm just too sensitive to this issue as well. We've talked about it again since he's been back, and he still believes I should have stayed out of it, though he has apologized for what he said. It's been bothering me more and more as the days go by, to the point where I've contemplated ending things. Am I overreacting? I feel like I can't think straight. Update. Unfortunately, the conversation did not go as I'd hoped, and I don't know if another one will even be productive. I think the bottom line is that he doesn't trust or believe that I truly understand the risk. He thinks that he better understands this type of danger because he's a man and knows the lengths they could go to. He apologized for his tone, even though he feels I should be more understanding because of how freaked out he was at the time. He also apologized for the way he blamed her, but then he still made a comment about personal responsibility later, so I don't know. I can tell he thinks this situation and what happened to my friend are radically different, and that I'm biased because I think this girl was drugged too. For me, whether she was drugged or not isn't the point. He kept telling me that I was punishing him for being worried and that I needed to accept that he will always prioritize my safety over a stranger's, which honestly is not unlike some comments I've seen here. A lot more was said, but I think I'm still just processing everything and kind of slowly accepting the implications of what this may mean for my relationship. I think I'm just going to take some time to let everything settle and figure out what I want and need to do. Final update. Sorry it took me so long to update. I was really overwhelmed following my last post and needed to take a big step back to process everything. A lot of you were incredibly empathetic and kind, and your words really helped me when I was doubting myself the most. It felt like my brain was absolute mush at the time, but thankfully I'm feeling more clear-headed now. I'm really grateful, and I tried to read as many comments and DMs as I could, but there were a lot. So here's the update: we broke up. Since posting, I had multiple conversations with him that only re-emphasized his views on what happened that night. His initial comments were already so jarring in the moment, but the fact that he still holds those beliefs weeks later is not something I can get over. At first, I just wanted to take a break to sort my feelings out, but unfortunately, things escalated, with him coming to my place multiple times and refusing to leave despite me asking for space. So it's over. I mentioned this in a comment on my last post, but when my friend was first assaulted, I leaned a lot on him because I wasn't sure how to help her work through what happened. I wanted to do something more practical to maybe give her back some of the sense of safety she lost, and he helped me find a self-defense course for me and her to take together. That's what jump-started me going to the gym as well. He was so supportive back then, and I think that's why a lot of his comments blindsided me. It's clear now that to some degree he has a very strict view on who qualifies as a victim and who doesn't. Even now, he thinks that the only reason I confronted those two men was because I thought I could take them on physically. I don't really view what I did as purely confrontational because of how I approached them, but he firmly believes that I wouldn't have gone up to them unless I thought I could have fought them off. That isn't true. I knew what could have happened, and I chose to go in anyway. Looking back, his random comment about the gym obviously stemmed from that as well. He has told me twice now that he regrets ever suggesting that I take a self-defense class. I still feel shaken up about what happened, but it was really eye-opening to see so many people take issue with how he spoke to me. That wasn't even my main concern at the time, but it definitely helped me reevaluate a lot of what was going on in our relationship. I do miss him a lot, and some days I still catch myself wondering if I overreacted by breaking up with him, but I honestly just can't accept the things he said. I don't think he's a monster or anything, but we are clearly very incompatible when it comes to certain fundamental beliefs. I finally felt comfortable talking about this with friends in real life, and thankfully I've gotten a lot of support there as well. Not the ending I hoped for, but I think it's for the best. Thank you all again so much. This story just seems really strange to me. I understand the boyfriend's perspective in wanting OP to stay safe, but at the same time, I think he really overreacted. At first, I thought that breaking up was pretty extreme for the situation, but then again, this raised a red flag regarding the boyfriend. To me, it sounded more like the boyfriend has a fixation on always being in control. So I don't think separating was bad for OP, as the two were clearly incompatible, and I wouldn't say she did anything wrong in this entire story.